Chapter 8, Primitive Beast Soul. Han Sen didn't go back to Steel Army Shelter after leaving Zephyr Valley. In a flash, he killed every swift mantis in a frenzy so that there were none left. Well, I'll just go hunt a copper-toothed beast. There are plenty of them near Steel Armor Shelter and there is a high chance of catching a mutant copper-toothed beast, so it wouldn't seem too suspicious if I were to produce a mutant one using the crystal. Han Sen found a habitat of copper-toothed beasts and wanted to catch one that was alone. Only able to find a small group of copper-toothed beasts, Han Sen went ahead and killed all of them but one. Taking advantage of his tough armor. Primitive creature copper-toothed beast killed. No beast soul gained. Eat the flesh of copper-toothed beast to gain 0 to 10 primitive geno points randomly. Primitive creature copper-toothed beast killed. Primitive beast soul of copper-toothed beast gained. Eat the flesh of copper-toothed beast to gain 0 to 10 primitive geno points randomly. Han Sen's eyes widened in surprise. The 43 swift mantises and thousands of ordinary creatures he had killed didn't render a single beast soul. Now he had killed only 2 copper-toothed beasts and gained a beast soul. To get a beast soul requires pure luck. Han Sen was filled with joy. Although it was common, the beast soul of a copper-toothed beast was quite nice to have. The copper-toothed beast was one of the weakest among all primitive creatures, but its beast soul was popular. Han Sen summoned the new beast soul, and a porcupine-like shadow with bronze fangs shifted into a bronze crescent spear in his hand. The crescent spear had a bronzy sheen and a menacing look with its crescent-shaped spearhead. Type of primitive beast soul of copper-toothed beast, weapon. Han Sen played with the spear for a while, looking quite fierce. He was taught basic spear skills at school. Han Sen was interested in all kinds of weapons, so he learned well. Han Sen put away his spear before he grabbed the living copper-toothed beast and went back. On his way back, he found a lonely spot to remove his armor. Looking like himself again, Han Sen went back to Steel Armor Shelter, carrying the knocked out and tied up copper-toothed beast on his shoulder. At the gate of the shelter, a gang of about a dozen people were marching out, all riding on different tall beast soul mounts, headed by a man wearing steel armor and carrying a blood-red sword on his back. The man was riding a triceratops-like beast soul mount, looking mighty and majestic, attracting envious glances from all around. In Steel Armor Shelter, there are 3 outstanding persons who aimed to complete evolution by maxing out on sacred geno points. This man, Son of Heaven, was one of them. Han Sen didn't know his real name and identity, but he was definitely a king in Steel Armor Shelter. Carrying the copper-toothed beast, Han Sen stepped aside to let the gang pass. However, Son of Heaven stopped his mount when passing by him. Crack! Son of Heaven looked at Han Sen and slashed him on the shoulder with a leather whip. The copper-toothed beast fell on the ground, and Han Sen's clothes were ripped apart. A wound started to swell on his shoulder and back. Who had the nerve to sell you this primitive creature? Son of Heaven asked in a cold tone, looking down at him condescendingly. In Steel Armor Shelter, everyone knew that Son of Heaven was wooing King Xuan. Freak who stabbed King Xuan in the rear naturally became his enemy. He was also one of the reasons why Han Sen was miserable. When learning King Xuan was stabbed, Son of Heaven not only had Han Sen beaten up but also let everyone know that whoever would dare to do business with Han would become his enemy for life. I hunted it myself. Han Sen stared back coldly, fist clenched but standing still. Not only had Son of Heaven gained a lot of geno points, but he also had collected many beast souls. Since he had help from his gang, Han Sen wouldn't be able to touch the guy even with his best effort. Even with his sacred blood armor, he would be beaten to death before he approached Son of Heaven. God's sanctuary was different from the Alliance in that there was no law at all. Power was everything. Han Sen would only die in vain. Plus, Son of Heaven was said to be of prominent origin in the Alliance. Even if Han Sen were killed by him in the Alliance, Son of Heaven might not be subject to legal sanctions. Han Sen was not afraid of death. But if he died, what about his mother and sister? If I find out that someone dares to sell to you, I'll make sure you both die in pain. Son of Heaven looked around and rode away. Freak, don't make trouble, or else I don't mind teaching you another lesson. Luo Danyang smirked at Han Sen before following the gang on a black wildebeest. Luo Danyang, a henchman and old acquaintance in the alliance of Son of Heaven, was one of those whom he sent to beat Han Sen up. Han Sen watched the gang going away with fire burning in his eyes. He picked up the copper-toothed beast quietly and walked towards Steel Army Shelter, with everyone watching him with derision. Stronger, I need to become stronger. With scorching anger in his chest, Han Sen knew he was far too weak to fight the gang on his own. The Black Crystal, however, was his biggest opportunity. Son of Heaven, just get rid of him for good, Luo Danyang said coldly. Son of Heaven smiled and said, King Xuan is a stubborn girl. She doesn't like people to intervene in her business. Since she did not kill Han Sen, she might be upset if I did. What an unwise woman. Another henchman of Son of Heaven, Peerless Sword, said, it's her honor that you, bro, would chase her, while she just puts on airs. If it weren't for you, I would have killed her already. Don't put King Xuan down. She is quite something in both God's Sanctuary and the Alliance. If she becomes mine, it will be a huge advantage to me. Son of Heaven said grimly, end of discussion. We need to get to Sunset Slope before Fist Guy's gang. That sacred blood creature has to be ours.